if you want to follow me. And did anybody hear the story about Lisa Cook, who was one of the governors on the on the board of governors for the Federal Reserve, who Trump really pushed hard to fire her, and he was making an argument that she should be fired because there was a disparity on a mortgage application that apparently she listed a property as a permanent residence when it wasn't, or something like a primary residence when it wasn't, and so Trump and a lot of his friends pretty much made the argument that this is why she should be fired because this is inappropriate. You should not be allowed to do this. Did anybody else see that? So if you didn't see it, it was quite a big thing. It was a big conversation. I imagine on Capitol Hill and really around the world, and a lot of people would speculate that the whole spat was really driven by Trump's desire to get the Fed to lower interest rates. But then there's also the racial undertone, which is, pretty blatant and blaring in the sense that, or glaring, not blaring, glaring, in the sense that, if you look, for example, at the cities he wants to, bring the National Guard to. I think every one of those cities is run by a black person, right? So it does create like that racial tension, right? And it's very obvious that there's something about that, right? And now you know my opinion on a lot of this. I don't feel that we have friends in either party, to be honest with you, and I've never felt like Trump was a savior for black people, or nor any politician. But is there racial bias? Yeah, I think you can make that argument for sure. But I also would say that I think there's a difference between how black liberals are viewed versus black conservatives, right? So the way I see it is, when a politician says, I care about black people. If it's a Democrat, I say, well, you probably care about black Democrats. But if I was a black Republican, you would call me all kinds of names and attack me, right? Which I could say that makes you racist, but I don't think it makes you racist. I think it makes you liberal. So the same thing is true with the conservatives who say, we care about black people. Look at all the black friends I have. But then I'd say, well, yeah, but if I was a black liberal, you probably wouldn't like me very much because you don't like liberals. And I'm not even going to look at it like it's necessarily blatant racism. It's just bias, right? You're conservative, so that means you like conservative people more than liberal people. That makes sense to me. And I think that if you want to know the difference with the B1 Black First philosophy, B1 means, if you're black and you're liberal, I care about you. If you're black and conservative, I care about you. No matter what you are, I might disagree with you, but I think black first means you're black first, which means that the goal is to strengthen the community, whatever that looks like. But at the same time, we have to work together, which means I can't necessarily create a dividing line by walking up to you and saying, "Hey, by the way, I slept with a dude last night. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about who I was had sex with last night? Are you okay with the fact that I was sleeping with a guy?" No, I don't need you doing all that, man. I don't care who you slept with. I hope it was good. Good for you. Good for you and him. And it's like, just don't be, man. So I ain't ready for all that yet. But it's no problem there. It's just people have biases and differences, and like, for example, I meet women that have, that are strong feminists, and men that have their opinions about relationships and stuff. And it's like, can't we just be black first? Like, let's at least, at the very least, let's acknowledge our disagreements and know that we're never going to be on the same page about everything. But let's start with the common ground. Like that's really how you stay married, by the way, in my opinion. My theory on marriage and any partnership, business or anything, is you got to focus on the core of the partnership before you start talking about all the things you don't like about each other. And I'm gonna get back to the Donald Trump thing in a minute because I think it's important to talk about because I got a whole training on this, a conversation on this. But but really, if you're married, you're not gonna see eye to eye on everything. How many married people in the room? Give me a yes if you're married, and give me a yes if you agree. I need to confirm this for the single people. You're gonna have so many things that you just are not seeing eye to eye, so many differences, so many, and then flare ups, just things where you get on my nerves right now, right? Everybody deals with it, right? And I want everybody who's single to just know this. And what keeps you together is you have to have some common factor. Like, there has to be a factor. Like, what is your factor? Oh, we both love tennis. Like, we're really good friends. Like my wife and I, our common factor is that we were great friends before we got married. Also, we do business together, and we're both scholars, and I respect what she does as a scholar. She respects me. She's a hardworking black woman, so I need a hardworking, focused person in my life that's gonna roll my fat ass out of bed at 5 in the morning and make me go to the gym, right? So when you start with all the things you have in common first, you'll be by the time you get to the things that you don't agree on, you'll be exhausted. You won't even get to that, right? But a lot of people start with the negative first, right? You start with the fact that you're not perfect because you did this, or you're not right for me because I don't like that about you. And I just think that's the wrong way to approach any partnership, because like even business partnerships are hard to maintain. Anytime you do something in business with another party, or you're bringing together two organizations, like when for the All Black National Convention, I worked with Dr. Ken Harris, and we partnered together. And he has an organization, the National Business League, started by Booker T. Washington. I have an organization. What we do over here, Boyce Watkins Enterprises and the Black Business School and everything else, right? And we had to figure out not just how he and I could see eye to eye, but how we could get the whole family to see eye to eye. It's like a blended family. We're bringing all these kids. They're not that the people I work with are kids, but you get the point. We're bringing in all these other people, who may or may not align as well as he and I did. So when I started the partnership, in order to manage my own personal trauma growing up, I have a very high trauma score. When you have a high trauma score, you have a lot of trauma responses. You get easily triggered. Like people that are track stars in relationships, like they see one red flag and they sprinting as fast as they can, or they'll give up if they get mad about something or just freak out. That's from trauma. That's from undiagnosed, untreated trauma. I promise you. If you address your trauma, you'll be so much more functional in all the things you're trying to accomplish. So working with Ken, there would be times where I'd say, well, wait a minute. I don't know if I've done it like that before. Or or my team members will say, but boys, last year we did it like this at the convention. Why are we changing that? And I had to just make a commitment in the beginning to say the partnership matters more than anything else. Working together is the most important thing. Us being teammates is what matters most. That's where I'm going to start every conversation, right? And that's literally even in that situation, and I think Ken would agree. Every time you bring anything together, it's hard, right? And I would encourage you to think about that, because if you look at the fact that a lot of black businesses don't grow as much as they could and as much as they should, I want you to pay attention every time you start seeing Negroes fighting. Right, where somebody's on the internet blasting another person, blasting their ex-husband. You love that man. You said you would die for that man 8 months ago, and you had a baby with that man. Now he's the devil. Now you're trying to convince me that he's the most horrible person in the world. Now you're talking crazy about your baby's mama, but you made a baby with this lady, and now everything that you are fighting about is going to hurt your kids. You're hurting. You don't love your kids, because if you loved your kids, you wouldn't be on the internet blasting your child's mother right now. That tells me that you're in a low vibrational energy, because you're not in a building energy. You're not. Nothing good will come of the fact that this 4-year-old has to hear his daddy talk about his mama like she's a piece of trash. So I would say at the end of the day, that therapy piece, if you want to build business and build relationships and marriage is the ultimate business. Marriage is a business deal to some extent. Just know that it's a legal contract. If you want to build and maintain these agreements, you're gonna have to, settle down, commit to being patient, commit to the bigger ideal, and get out of these stupid little conversations that we see on the internet. These conversations on the internet are so destructive when they talk about relationships. I need women to do this and do that, and if you're a single mama, this is what's wrong with you. And the way the women talk about the men sometimes is just terrible. These niggas ain't shit, da, 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 right? And it's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. And that's why in those communities you will see that wealth typically is not developed. You will see that there's not much structure. You'll see there's not much progress. That's another thing too. If you're in the middle of shit, it's hard to fly high when you're sunk in a puddle of shit, right? If you're nose deep in crap, how the hell are you gonna fly like an eagle when you're trying to swim through the shit? And so if you are in a and to give you an example, look at how unproductive people become when they're in the middle of a bad relationship. When every day you wake up stressed, angry, fighting with somebody, constantly this constant state of irritation and anxiety, you're not going to get anything done. You're not going to accomplish your goals and dreams. Your goals and dreams are going to be when you start fighting and people are like, oh well, I'm going to leave now. I got to go. Your goals and dreams are going to be like, excuse me, I got to go to the bathroom and And your dreams are gonna climb out the bathroom window because they don't want to be in the middle of your shit. You need to fix. So if you want to ever be the shit, you better fix your shit. Were those bars right quick? Were those bars for me? Like, give me. I hope those were good bars. But really, to fix to be the shit, you got to fix your shit, and you got to deal with your shit. If you don't deal with your shit, then you're gonna be in the middle of shit forever. So climb out of the shit. Let's go be the shit. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's keep going here. All right. So let's talk about the Trump thing. So with Trump, I'm just, and that's an economic lesson. And I always have to circle back on that to make sure you understand. Whenever we're talking about this, we're talking about economics. Look at some of the wealthiest people on earth. They usually run in groups and gangs. It's usually like a family that's really wealthy, or a corporation, which is like an economic family. That's what leads to power and wealth. Groups, gangs, connections, right? If you can't keep the band together, then you ain't gonna make no music. So really, that ability to keep the group together, is something that I believe is worth an investment in terms of learning how to work through those differences. I have a friend named Dr. George James who does something similar to what my wife does. And what George does is black families that want to build generational wealth will fly him in as a therapist to sit down with everybody in the family and make sure that they iron out their disagreements so they can be productive. He makes sure everybody's heard, and that all disputes and grievances are dealt with, so you don't have disputes sort of messing up things. Like you look at how many times family businesses get destroyed because one person has a misunderstanding with another one. It happens all the time. All right, now let's go back to the Trump thing. Okay, so with Trump, um, so this thing with Lisa Cook, let me just say this: the reason he was trying to fire Lisa Cook is mainly and it's on my Instagram if you want to go sort of read into it. In fact, I'll pull it up on my Instagram so you can see it. But Lisa Cook, who's a black woman, the reason Trump definitely wants to get rid of her is because he's really looking to get rid of anybody on the board of governors that does not support his goal of reducing interest rates. Most economic experts feel that reducing interest rates too much right now could be a problem because you could cause runaway inflation. And what was determined was that when Trump got Lisa Cook fired, and I think she sued, and I don't know the status of the lawsuit. I got to look that up. I think that she may have got reinstated. I'm not sure. Y'all got to help me with that. But when he got her fired and she sued, she was accused of quote unquote potentially criminal conduct. And these were mortgage documents that appeared to show her pledging two different homes as her primary residence. That's hardly, gangbanger stuff. It's not like she's a threat to society. She just made a mistake on a mortgage application, in my opinion. Or maybe she didn't maybe it wasn't a mistake. Maybe if it was deliberate, then okay, like what's the penalty, right? I don't think she should lose her job. But it also says that Scott Bessent, who's a billionaire that is Trump's Treasury Secretary, he also did the same thing. Now he happens to be of a different complexion, and it says here that he signed mortgages on a Bedford Hills, New York manor and a Provincetown, Massachusetts beach house, each of which was designated as his principal residence. Both loans, part of a $21 million financing package, came from Bank of America. The bank later confirmed it understood the homes to be secondary properties. Mortgage experts said such contradictions are common paperwork quirks, not fraud, right? So let me ask you this. So here we have an example where Donald Trump wanted the black lady fired because she did something wrong on her mortgage application. At the same time, his white male Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent pretty much did the same thing. Give me a yes or no. Would you define this to be racism? Would you define this to be racially disparate treatment? Yes or no? Would you say, or I don't know. I'm curious. I mean, some of y'all are Republicans. I'd be curious to also hear what my Republican friends think too. Because I told you I don't care what your political party is. I just want you to get rich. All right, because I need rich friends. I need to be surrounded. That's my dream. 30 years from now, I want to go to the All Black National Convention and say this is the Black Millionaires Conference. I literally want all of y'all to be doing extremely well. That's what I care about. Democrat, Republican, I don't care. All right, so Diane says no, but everyone else says yes. So I haven't seen any other no's, and I respect your opinion as well, Diane, and that's totally fine. Okay, so let me ask you another question. Give me a yes or no. How many of you have experienced situations where you felt that race was a factor in whether or not you got the job, whether or not you were the one that they chose to lay off, or you were the one that they chose for the promotion. Yes or no? How many of you have had that experience as a black person? 99% of you in here are black. If you're the one white guy, you can say whatever you'd like to say. You can vote for either team. It's up to you. All right. I don't know if there's one white. Maybe there's like five or something. I don't know. All right. So, hmm, I see a couple of no's, but I do see a lot of yeses. Okay, Tiffany says no. I'd be curious to know why it was no. If it was, I've never experienced that on the job, or I've never had a job. Some of you have never worked for anybody before, which I think is great. Congratulations to you. Hopefully that'll be common for a lot of our kids. So here are some facts you can consider in that particular question, and this relates to the disparate treatment that you're seeing here between Trump and or Besson and Lisa Cook. All right, so number one, a meta-analysis of field experiments found that white applicants get 36% more callbacks than equally qualified black applicants. Two, in the same analysis, Latino applicants got 24% callbacks, 24% more callbacks than matched Black Latino applicants. Because Latino people they got racism there too. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2023, Black and African American employment was 5.5%, which is higher than the national average of 3.6%. In surveys, about 41% of black workers say they have experienced race ethnicity based discrimination or unfair treatment by an employer in hiring, pay, or promotions. By contrast, only 8% of white people reported the same. Now, the 41%, which is according to the Pew Research Center, is really a surprising number, but I think the difference, because in here it's usually like 95%. Like when I take that survey among you, it's usually 95%. And I think that racism, kind of getting that Paul Mooney Negro wake up call, is one of the things that brings you into this space. Most of you are not average, regular black people. You don't, it seems to me you probably don't believe in the fairy tale of equality, and a lot of us have to go through some kind of experience in order to get to that point. I told you about the lady that I worked with at Syracuse who spent years. There were only three black professors that got hired with me at Syracuse. We were the only three in the whole building out of like 90 something faculty members, maybe 100. And she wouldn't talk to us. She wouldn't talk. The other black guy, I talked to him a lot. But this black lady would not speak to us at all. And she said, and she flat out told me that she didn't want to be seen as hanging out only with the black people. And she would be cordial to me, but she kind of, because I remember I confronted it, and I kind of laughed it off. I said, "Hey, I just wanted you to know, I noticed you're a little awkward, and I just want to let you know, like, hey, I hope everything's appropriate. I just wanted to reach out and get to know you, just, but nothing shady, nothing weird." And she said, "Well, no, actually, I do deliberately distance myself from the other black professors because I don't want to be seen as only spending time with the black people." So she spent all those years, really doing things I didn't do. Again, because of my racial trauma, I wasn't real comfortable with a lot of my white colleagues because I did not feel wanted in that space. But it's not even just their fault. Maybe it was partly on me, right? I grew up as a black boy in Kentucky, and I left Kentucky for the same reason Muhammad Ali left. It was like this racism, man. I can't take this stuff. This is crazy. So I kept I stayed in my lane. They stayed in their lane, and I didn't get to know them. I didn't know where they lived. I didn't know half of I didn't know 80% of their names. I didn't know, I just didn't, they'd have a birthday party for their kids or something. They invite everybody, and I didn't even feel like that was something I should be going to. And it wasn't, and in hindsight, it was an overreaction on my part to some extent, right? Because I don't think every white person is waking up with a vendetta, but it's just the cultural difference, or just the fact that there's always like this hypersensitivity that if I say the wrong thing, make the wrong joke, or just whatever, that somehow that's going to get me labeled in a certain way. And it was very uncomfortable. Because remember, I came up in the 90s. The 90s was when black men had a very limited margin of error. A lot of black men were being sent to prison by the Biden crime bill. A lot of black men couldn't get opportunities. A lot of black men were pretty much told to kind of stay in your place and be careful, or you'll get in trouble, even if you didn't do anything wrong. That was the whole premise of my book, What If George Bush Were a Black Man, that I wrote in 2004. As I said, man, this is this is hard. I feel like I gotta like keep my head on a swivel all the time. So long story short, I spent my years kind of separate and distant. I did not know about the importance of politics. I didn't know that some of these decisions that we think are just built solely on merit and skill that these decisions are really not are built on merit and skill all the time. They're built on politics and who likes you and who doesn't like you, who you're connected with, who's mentoring you. I had no mentors, right? So I just did my best. I was a damn good scholar. I wrote more solo authored research papers than anybody in the probably in the history of that finance department. Also, I became very well known nationally. By the time I went up for tenure, my name was everywhere. Like I was probably the most famous faculty member on that campus, other than there was one guy across across campus in the journalism school who was probably a little more cited. But he actually said that to me. He actually said, besides me, you're the person that's probably the most well known on the campus. So you're going to have a lot of enemies because of that. And this is a white guy who said that, right? So it wasn't just a black experience I was having. Some of it was blended with other kinds of experiences, like player haterism. Just people just get mad because you're doing well, right? It's a very petty place. But long story short, with this black woman who didn't speak to me hardly for 6 years. One day I saw her in the elevator and I just said, "Hey, how you doing?" And she said, "Fine." And we didn't say anything to each other. I would just say, "Well, you don't want to talk to me. I don't want to talk to you." And I got off on my floor, which was two floors below her floor. And then I walked to my office. She got off on the same floor. And I'm like, why is she getting off on my floor? And she followed me around the corner to my office. And I went in my office and I was about to shut the door. And she stopped the door and she came in to like talk to me. I'm like, why are you talking to me? Like you told me 5 years ago you didn't want nothing to do with me. And it was one of those conversations where it was like, Boyce, let me tell you what these white people are doing to me, right? And I was sitting there, I was kind of baffled because I was like, but you did all the right things. Like you blended in like a good Negro. You went to their kids' birthday parties. You knew the difference between Sally, Dick, and Joe, right? You did all these things. I didn't do any of those things. I'm the one who should be in trouble. I'm the bad Negro. Like you're the house Negro. Like what problems do you got? And that's what I remember noticing. I said, my God, it's so interesting that she made all the sacrifices, played all the games, did everything right, and they still treated her basically like a nigga. Like I'm gonna just be honest with you, just and I remember. So what it did is it kind of said to me like, okay, maybe I wasn't so crazy after all, because I told you that by deliberately distancing myself, I probably sometimes shot myself in my foot. But what happens is that racism creates like a type of distrust, just a type of like, okay, you white and you're being nice to me right now. When are you gonna start acting white? Because at some point you gonna say something. I know you're gonna say something that's gonna happen, and then you're gonna remind me that you think you're better than me, and that's gonna trigger me because I don't tolerate that crap, right? And so long story short, I just if you want to know how the story ended, I um I did help her. She was going through a battle. They were really we were both going up for tenure at the same time, and they were really making it hard for her, and, for unfair reasons. And I supported her, and it was like a sacrifice fly. I said, look, I don't even really need this job no more. I said I make more money off campus than I make on campus anyway, so I'm about to go straight kamikaze on these bastards. I said, this school has had a horribly racist history. They've never ever promoted a black person in my department in the history of this school, and so I'm about to go in here and just drop a bomb on their asses. And I don't care if I get blown up too. Like that, I had nothing to lose, right? Because I had a whole life. And this is the thing. This is what economic independence does for you. People would say, "Oh my God, you're so brave," and I can't believe you're saying these things. Everyone else is thinking it, but they're scared to say it. I said, I'm not any braver than you. I'm just more financially secure than you. Do you understand? See, a black man and a black woman can walk different when they know they're gonna get to eat regardless of what the hell you think about them. Do you understand? There's something about financial security that does make your chest stick out a little more, make you say those things that you really want to say and not be scared. And this is so much better to me than all the head bowing and shucking and jiving and yes sir, no sir, and I got to do what Massa say. I don't want to live like that, and I don't want our kids to live like that either. I don't think they have to live like that because you didn't do nothing wrong. You didn't do nothing wrong. All you did wrong was you were born black. And that should not be a crime. But if you let yourself get hemmed up and trapped in a situation of financial desperation, then every time the situation comes for you to stand up, they're gonna tell you to sit your black ass right back down. and you're gonna do it because you don't have any options. So I was able to help this black woman. I helped her. My white. I had a chairman. His name was Peter Kovios. Again, if you're white, don't think I hate all white people. Peter was white. He was a great guy. And Peter literally said to me, he said, to be honest with you, he said, when you really went at them and scared them, then they denied your tenure. That cleared the path for others to get opportunities and to get tenure because they were so afraid of being called racist by you. And I said that's because they are racist, and I just want everybody to know that. And so it was like a sacrifice fly, right? And in fact, the next year they hired more black faculty and administrators on that campus than they've ever hired, from what I've seen in the history of the campus. Like they hired all kinds of black people, and so so I was, and that made me happy. As I exited, it was like, okay, great, I did something for somebody else, because I felt like God had a better plan for me anyway. It's like, okay, this is a small world for you. You should be doing other things, so let's go over here and do this now. And so, long story short, it really that experience taught me a lot about how sometimes, being black, a lot of us, I think, especially those of us that want to do the right things, like you want to go to school, you don't go to jail, you're raising your kids right, you're doing the right things. You want to fit in. You want to be seen as a regular American who's a good person doing good things. But then sometimes that can cause us to forget who we are. You can get into this mode of like, I'm not black, I'm OJ, right? And then what happens is you get that Paul Mooney wake up call. Y'all know the Paul Mooney wake up call. He calls it. I'm gonna say it one time, so cover your kids' ears. It's called the nigga wake up call. And so you get the Paul Mooney wake up call, and then you're called to battle. Then suddenly, and I've seen it happen a lot, where suddenly you go through it. Like that woman went through racism. She's like, wait a minute, I thought I was immune from racism. I thought I was gonna fit in. I thought they saw me as one of them. And it's like, no, they don't. I think that there's a special hatred that's reserved for black people that no one else receives. And I think it goes back 400 years. I don't think you could really fight that in a couple of decades. Okay, so with that said, other statistics that support a lot of what we're talking about here is that studies show that new black hires are more likely to be laid off or fired than white hires before they hit the first year of seniority. Black workers are more likely to be unemployed or underemployed than white counterparts, even with similar education and skills. So it's an illusion when you think that because I went to Brown University and got my master's degree, I'm going to get the same jobs as the white boy. That's not typically going to happen. And the reason I say it like that is not to be cynical, but to basically say, just get ready because if it does happen, I don't want to see you stressed out and experiencing all this anger and anxiety over the fact that your illusion just got crushed. You know what I'm talking about? Like sometimes we can live in a fantasy. It's like thinking somebody likes you when they really don't like you. Like thinking he's gonna marry you when really he just wanted to have sex with you, right? And then you're just you're like devastated and you're pissed off and you hate all men and all. Like that's not. No, it's if I'm your friend, I'm gonna say no. Actually, this guy probably don't like you. He's actually kind of using you. And so ultimately, I think us being realistic about what America is and how human beings behave can make it a little easier when something does happen. And the other thing too that we have to say as well is in terms of being fair to those who are not trying to be discriminatory, you have to understand some of this is based on human behavior. And I'm going to read this to you too. A lot of what we think is just flat out blatant racism is human behavior. And I'm going to give you, I'm not just going to explain the problem. I want to explain the solution too. But check this out. Did y'all know about there's a theory called homophily in social networks. It ain't sexual though. It's called homophily, Homophily. And it says sociologists use the term or maybe it's homophily. That sounds better. Homophily sounds more lyrical, I guess. Homophily to describe how people gravitate toward others similar to themselves. Surprise, surprise. People like people that are like themselves. So as much as you think that your boss is gonna treat you the same as if you were a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white boy, that's just not reality. That's a fantasy, right? And so you spend your life wanting to be like him instead of wanting to be like yourself, and I think that's unhealthy. In hiring, this means managers naturally prefer candidates who look like them, share their schools, or come from similar communities. There's a similarity attraction theory. In psychology, this theory says people are more comfortable and trusting with those who share their race, culture, or background. Surprise, surprise. In job interviews, that comfort translates into better evaluations for people that are in your group. Um, Role of referral networks. Most jobs, studies say 70 to 85% are landed through personal connections. So stop thinking that the quality of your resume is going to just trump everything. No, it's who you know, right? And a lot of networks are segregated, racially segregated. White people know white people, black people know black people, Asian people know Asian people. So really, and in fact, in a lot of HBCUs, I noticed in some of our HBCUs, you'll see one guy from India get a job. Next thing you know, another guy from India has a job. Then a woman from India has a job in that department because they're not when they're looking to hire people. Make no mistake about it, they're not looking for the best person for the job. Or better yet, their definition of the best person for the job is not the same as a universal definition of the best person for the job. My best person for the job may not be your best person for the job because we may not be the same type of people. Do you understand? So when I go in and you say, "Boys, who's the best person for the job?" I'm gonna say, an intelligent black woman is amazing to work with because I've worked with lots of them, and it's just an awesome experience. Or a solid black man. That's what you really need. Like that's gonna be my bias. Everyone has these biases, and I don't think it makes you the devil because I think everybody has those. I mean, I run something called the Black Business School. Lord Jesus. All right, so so anyway, here's some more information that you can put in your pocket. Um, Resumes with white sounding names like Emily or Greg get 50% more callbacks than black sounding names like Lakeisha and Jamal, even when the qualifications are identical. Similarity bias also exists in leadership pipelines. Executives often mentor and promote those they see themselves in. So people want to mentor people that are similar to them because they say, "Oh, you remind me of myself 20 years ago, so I'm going to be your mentor." That's why predominantly white leadership teams tend to reproduce themselves over time. So effectively, it would be very nice if we lived in a society that was truly, truly long-term committed to diversity to the point where some of these leadership spaces and white-owned institutions would have more black leadership and more opportunities. There's a guy, the brother that runs. I don't know if he's still the chancellor at Rutgers, but he came on the YouTube channel. He's really nice. His name is Jeffrey something. You can help me remember his name. He wrote a book with Dr. Randall Pinkett, and it was called like Black Faces in High Places, and there's another one called Black Faces in White Places. And Jeffrey Robinson, that's his name, super smart guy. I really liked him a lot. And I remember kind of the cynic in me was sort of like, well, why do we want to be black faces in white spaces? What's special about a white space? Like, do we think that white spaces are like disinfected or something? Like they don't have that nasty blackness in it? I don't see a white space as a better space. Right now, it might come with some wealth attached for sure because they spent 400 years stealing all your stuff, and so they do have all the wealth and the majority of it, and that's why you'll never get me to support any politician who doesn't support reparations. However, um, I think that rather than having black faces in white places, I think we should have black faces in places. Or maybe, white people can fight to have a place in a black space, right? I think black people can build spaces that are built for us. And I think that comes down to mindset. See, as horrible and racist as America can be, America is still the wealthiest country on the planet, and it's a country that's full of opportunity. And in fact, let me ask you all this question: how many of you agree with me that if you raise a black child and you buy stock for them when they're young, so they have $250,000 in the bank by the time they're 25, so they don't have to go to work for anybody. If you teach them to own real estate, so they're acquiring property, if you teach them the structure and how to run a business, that this black person can succeed in America. Give me a yes if you believe that a young black child who's raised with all the skills of a wealth builder, let's say they sat in my class every day and from the time they're like 3 or something. Some of y'all have kids like that. They're gonna be little economic super soldiers. So they've been listening to a finance professor since they were 3, and that they're gonna be able to succeed. How many of you agree with me that that's doable? Right? The answer is yes, right? And so to me, that says, okay, we got an opportunity to do this, but we have to shift culture. We have to really observe culture and analyze culture. And the big limitation that we have when it comes to culture is that we're probably the only group who uh, who blames most of our problems on white people, but we're also so eager to work for white people and give them all of our money. Brother Nuri Muhammad, thank God he said that on the Breakfast Club too. I'm so happy he brought that up. Like literally, if you think about this is so fascinating to me. It's like you're so angry at what white people are doing to you, but you really want to be around them. You really want to be around. Like, why do you torture yourself? What is it that makes you say, "Gosh, I really can't stand the way they treat us, but I really would love to work with them." That's not that's a little hypocritical, right? Like D1 is pointing out the hypocrisy of hip hop right now. He's doing his tour called Hypocritical Hop, and he's like, how is it that when rappers die, everybody cries and everybody says this is so sad, but then you'll turn on the same music that celebrates the death of black people at the same time? That doesn't make any sense. That's cognitive dissonance, right? So, long story short, I think I know for a fact that the economic training of black children has to be different from everybody else. I really believe that black wealth is different from white wealth. The black economic experience is very different from the white economic experience, and that has to be acknowledged. It's like if you're a doctor and you give everybody the same treatment without considering their medical history and their body chemistry and their DNA, then you're going to give them the wrong treatment, right? So effectively, we have to stop believing that it makes sense to train 95% of our kids to go work for white people because you're signing them up for torture. Instead, black children should be trained on those things that I mentioned before. Number one, every black baby should have stock when they're born. You should buy stock for that child, for that family, from the time they're a little baby. No matter whatever you can buy. If you can pay a cell phone bill and a car note, you can buy shares of stock. We've talked about this. That's what the 5-year pledge is all about. All of our kids should understand what ownership really looks like and just realize that there's really no substitute for power. There's no substitute for having real power. You can pretend to have power. You can have fake power. Like the people that run BET have fake power. I mean, they'd host the hip hop awards and stuff, and really thought that was like a representation of black culture. But then when the people that have the real power, namely the people that run Paramount, the Trump administration, etc., stepped in, they said, "Okay, party's over. Get out of here." Right? And they had no ability to stop that. And that's what happens when you are substituting for the hard work required to assemble power. Um, Assembling real economic power is just something that typically takes time. If somebody gives you power and you get it quickly, like because they gave you a certain job or whatever, that's not sustainable in the sense that the minute somebody pulls the plug on you, it's done, it's over. They can immediately turn your heaven into a hell by cutting that job or cutting off those resources. That a lot of you know this when if you have organizations that are dependent on DEI money or something, right? We just saw this. We saw this happen, right? So effectively, I would encourage everyone. I talked to a sister yesterday who I'm going to bring in here. I just love talking to her. Her name was Crystal, and she runs a company called Kinks and Curls. It's a hair salon in Atlanta, and I met Crystal when I was in Tulsa. Because I met with her partner, who's a lady named Candace, who runs a company called Myvana, and Myvana is really successful. Kinks and Curls is very successful. And I just loved hearing Crystal talk because she really understood the assignment. She understood that when it comes to something like black women's hair, as much money as we freaking spend on black women's hair, black people should own every bit of that. And we should be unapologetic about it. Just get nasty with it. Like, no, 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 no. This is our hair, our territory. You can go control Korean hair. We'll let you have that. We'll let you, but you can't have what you got and have what we got. Because if we came over and tried to take what you got, you'd be ready to fight. So every ounce of energy that you would put into fighting me from taking over the Korean hair market, I'm gonna put that same energy in stopping you from taking over or maintaining control of the black hair market. Like that's a battle, that's a war. And the war needs soldiers, and the soldiers have to be economic soldiers where you are training. And this is why I love talking to Chris. I'm bring Crystal in here. I said, I really want you to come to class because I love the way you're talking. And she talked about all the things that we want to understand about business in the sense of she talked about running her salon and creating a better business model. How the a lot of salons run on an old school business model from the 1980s. They need to modernize in terms of how they're structured. She talked about customer service and making sure the customer experience was top notch. She talked about black economics, and she read my book, The Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power, and you know and she said, I get it. This is what I want to do. And I think that, to me, I think we should have like a million black women like that, a million black men like that, just a million. There's 40 million black people. I only need a million. If we got a million economic super soldiers that are trained on these ideas that fit into the culture in the right way, that's enough for us to take this whole thing over. Because remember, we are the original superheroes. Like, we have capabilities no one else has. We know how to turn a dollar or create a dollar out of 15 cents. We know how to come out of slavery and still be on top in certain industries. We know how to overcome things other people can't overcome. And so, to me, if you just had a million black men and a million black women raised as children, from the cradle to the grave, on black economics, and really really fearless, relentless, and highly skilled at these areas, that would literally lead to the creation of trillion-dollar entities in the next generation. So long story short, I think that's the solution, right? Discrimination is never going to go away, because human beings naturally discriminate. That's what they naturally do. People hire people that are similar to themselves. Most people that get jobs, or most industries that hire black people, are a lot of these businesses are black-owned businesses. Black-owned businesses hire more black people than other businesses do. So if you create more black-owned businesses, you create more jobs or more opportunities, and then also you're circulating the black dollar more naturally, because if I have a black business and I get a dollar, I spend that dollar on an employee who then spends that dollar on another black business, and that dollar circulates a lot better. When you have employees, it's like you all get your money from the boss, and then you go and you spend your money at a bunch of non-black businesses, and that money leaves the community instantly. You have no process that even allows for any form of an ecosystem. There's no way for the money to get back into the community, because there's nobody sort of taking on both sides of the seesaw. In order for the money to circulate, you need the producers and the consumers in the same community, not just the consumers. In order for the money to circulate, you need the bosses and the employees in the same community, not just employees. Do you understand? Right. So you need all of that to happen. You need the investors and the borrowers in the same community, right? So ultimately, this is an ideology. It's also an ideology that works better when you have done the work required to build the capital bases necessary to develop these institutions. Now, we can talk about that on a different day, but this is critical. This is one of the reasons why it's so critical for us to make sure any family that wants to do well, have your savings plan. So you have that emergency fund, make those consistent investments, have those family business meetings. So learn economics together so you can understand how to develop your own ecosystem. And that's how you build power. That's the best way. The best way to overcome racism is to not have to overcome it at all. Just like we talked about solving a problem. The best way to solve a problem is to prevent the problem. So I don't have to overcome the the debauchery of evil white people, because I don't deal with them on a day-to-day basis. I don't have to get up and leave my house and go and work for someone who hates my guts. It took me time to get here, for sure. So I'm not making fun of anybody who's in a different situation. What I'm saying, though, is that that's really, to me, that's the Black American dream. The Black American dream is not the same as the white American dream. That's it. The WAD ain't the same as the bad, right? The Black American dream, the BAD, right? That's what we want to aim for. And so the Black American dream, in terms of financial independence, is not something you want to achieve just because you like money. You achieve it because you like freedom. You achieve it because you like to be happy. You achieve it because you want to heal from your trauma, not add to it. You do that because you love your family, right? So it's all about the love and the health and the healing and the happiness. It's not just about the money. The money is nice, but the high of money kind of goes away. The high of freedom and happiness and peace never goes away. So make your life better, like, change the culture, confront that stuff. You can do this. All right. So anyway, quick reminder, a couple things happening this week. Number one, Constance Carter is gonna do. You guys liked her training on "Don't Buy a House with Your Spouse." She's a real estate expert that works with us in the Black Business School. She's gonna do that again on Friday, and I'm gonna invite everybody in here. If you want to come even for free on Friday, I will put the link in so you can. You can join tomorrow. I'll send you the link out today. Make sure you're on the text list for the class. Text the word morning to the number 87948. So text morning to 87948. Also, next week, Dr. Alicia is going to do a session on financial healing, how to heal emotionally so that you can be a better investor and deal with the ups and downs of the stock market. I'm telling you, there's more money. I mean, I'm looking at the market right now. It looks like it's up again today. And so the money is literally raining out every day. So I really don't want you to miss it. So don't let your trauma stop you from your opportunity. So I'll send you guys that link again if you want to join us on Tuesday. If you're a member of the Stock Market Investor Club, you can come for free. And that's drboycestockmarket.com if you want to do a free trial. Those that are in Prime, I'm going to reach out to you today. We're going to schedule a Prime session next week and do stock options. I'll also send you guys a fast cash action plan later on this afternoon. So if you have an interest in stock options, just text that word options to the number 87948. So text options to 87948 and you'll get some information. And I will send out the Moneymaker Grid as well, Shaquata. All right. So have a good day, everybody. God bless you. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care. Thank you for listening.